go. So our final lesson. Here we go. Again, really just going back to the video. Again, I was in the class, but also just looking at the structure of the lesson in terms of, again, at the beginning having the kind of the sticks for seating arrangement, then moving to the do now with the timer, then whole class discussions, and then during the whole class discussions, it's just like using thumbs up, thumbs down, just to kind of like getting that quick feedback from them, and then the agreement and disagreement between their kind of like their answers. Moving on to the stretch feedback, stretch break, and then let's say moving also to the next activity, and then the exit ticket and all of that. So just like a quick general of the lesson, it seems like the sequence of the activities and all of that is really well planned. As I said, like just thinking about also using more kind of like interactive activities such as like the Ed puzzle, and really like how this kind of visual would help like most of them in the class. So in terms of the video, the subtitles, the diagrams and all of that, and at the same, like it's kind of like comprehension, and give them that some time to reflect on the questions and then answer these questions. It is really like I like It Puzzle too. I really feel it's very interactive, helps most of them, and I know that you got also the feedback from one of the
I was excited. I think I kind of had forgot about it until I went to watch the video, but yeah, she saw kind of during the lesson in real time how it was working, and it was nice to get feedback in the middle of the lesson, like directly to see like, oh, you know, this is a big win for them, like, you know, share this resource, like I want to use it outside of class. So that was really good, and I think I had done it before as a student, but not often, and I'd kind of forgotten how effective it can be at just chunking the assignment into little bits, like here's the fact, and you just have to work on the act of listening, and then you get to recall it, you know, several times throughout the video, and I think that went really well. And yeah, it's definitely something that, you know, seeing how effective it is, it can definitely be, you know, thrown in the toolbox to be reused on future assignments too.
Yes. And again, the same kind of the structure, like after the do now questions, and then they have that whole class discussion. So it's really like having that independent work, but then coming back as a whole class, and then using that popcorn style, like where they need to pick, you know, call in someone and then ask that question and answer that question. And again, it was like shown in the video, like how one of them, they had that kind of misconception about that question, and then they changed, like they corrected their own answer when they heard the explanation from other, like from their classmates. So really like even like having that interaction between them and learn from each other, this is a huge thing. Just give them that opportunity during the class time. Yeah,
it was perfect, and I think it happens, you know, regularly, I think in other classes too, but it was nice to see that it was playful, like her changing her answer and like being like, yeah, I learned, you know, this is what I learned, and it might have seemed playful, but kind of like, but it's exactly what you want. I don't know. So it was really good, and I think there was no you're wrong or like finger pointing or anything like that. It was all like really, which sometimes it can get that way, like we've seen
That's right.
And where they're kind of working against each other,
especially this age, like it's 7th grade, like middle school, like
And so when I watched it back, I was like, hey, this is some real progress from what we've seen in previous classes. And so it's nice to see, like, you know, it really is a collaborative exercise that is done regularly in the class, and it's come a long way. You don't always see it unless you like stop and reflect, and I think
that's a thing.
Pretty awesome.
And the huge thing is that they know it, like it's our classroom routine. They've been doing this, so they know that, and again, that kind of also the positive relationship between you and them as well, like they feel comfortable. And they also they know that there is a mutual respect between you and them. So, and they show that also. So this is a huge. Then after the whole class discussion, then they started with the activity. It's kind of like they started with that activity the class before, but then they needed a little bit more time as a group. So it's kind of like it was small groups work. So they went back to that activity, again looking at the different cultures, picking that breakfast meal, what kind of food molecules they can see, and again reflect on that. So, and I really like the idea that you also added kind of like an extension activity for those who, let's say, are done with that one, so they can move on and they have something to work on as well.
Yeah, I think that's something I've really learned is like seeing you and several other teachers and just like kind of running into a point where like you don't have something on deck, like you can kind of run into some behavior issues or things like that. So I think it was good to let them know like, hey, this is when you're finished, because you can see the hands even before I was even done explaining that we're finishing an activity. It's kind of like, well, what if I've done? What if I finished? What if this? What if that? And so it's kind of like just trying to stay ahead of that and make sure that there's always kind of another way to address them so that they don't start playing games or
just being engaged in non-academic activities. But I really also I appreciate like in the video when you kept referring to the board, like looking at the agenda, referring to our objectives for the lesson and all of that, like it's always there for us teachers and for them also to refer to the
on the board in Google Classroom. It's like they get it several ways, so there's no excuse really to not know what you're supposed to be working on, even though they still need reminders.
Yes, they still need reminders. Yes, and also looking at the again how they keep reflecting on their engagement level in the class, and I heard it in the video like how they ask like, I am what, like -1, +1, +2. So it's really having that part.
It was perfect. I thought I had I think I did during the class go and let someone know, but I couldn't find it on the video. I don't know if I lost it or what, or maybe it just didn't capture it. But I think that's kind of what stirred it up a little bit, which is like why they started asking. But I kind of had forgotten about it, and then watching the video back, it was nice that they're, it's a part of the conversation. They know like, hey, I need to behave a certain way to get, or I'm always going to get feedback. It could be positive, it could be negative.
That's right.
But how can I make sure it's good feedback? And so
am I distracted? Did I ask question? Did I like that's I was leading my group. I was not. I asked question. I did not. I was off task. It's a kind of just to keep them.
And it was on then the exit ticket, right? So it kind of ties. They all kind of tie together. I kind of introducing them to some more self-assessment type stuff. So it's like the rubric on the table and the engagement level is like a really good communication tool for them with that. And then the self-reflection even at the end. It's good for them to get the exposure and the kind of a written form of what we expect. It's like there's a rubric and hey, how did I do? Am I doing these things? And what is expected of me? Even though there's several times they get that, but for them to stop and think about it too is important.
I mean they needed that. Like it's always like teachers, we really maybe most of the time we focus on the academics, but also we want to keep in mind that their well-being and again they need that kind of social emotional support and all of that. So when they have that time to reflect on their behavior, how they did in the class, their mental well-being, their emotional well-being, how they feel, so they want to feel supported, and we want to make sure that we give them that support, not only academically but also emotional and socially. So that would help. And again, it's really just to see them around, even during the breaks, they come to you. They ask you, "How's your day?" How, it's just we do the same thing. When we see someone they kind of they don't really feel well, we could check on them and all of that. And really also in the video it showed when we had one of the scholars was Sammy, he was having his head down on the desk, like it seemed it was not kind of like a good day, or maybe he was tired, it was the last block of the day. And I really like the idea how you approached him in a way that, you know, like you kind of like you wanted someone to lead the, you know, that brain break, and you asked him.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of a way that.
Yeah, I think I was planning to, you know, do the brain break a little differently, get a volunteer instead of just throwing it out there, kind of a volunteer for something they don't know about. And I was just waiting for him to put his hand up because I wanted it to be him, so he had, you know, who knows why he was tired.
Yeah.
Like I think I checked in on him several times, you know, just more of redirects, like, hey, are you done? Are you working on this? What's going on? In preview, you know, during the do now and the Ed puzzle and things like that, because he was kind of disengaged. And so I was just waiting for his hand to pop up so I could put him in the front. And I think it picked him up and, you know, re-energized the class for him just a little bit.
Yeah. And really it showed, like, after that he went back, like, you know, he was more kind of like engaged in the class and all of that.
Yeah.
Like, even with the,
We just needed a wake-up call.
Yeah, wake-up call.
Or an opportunity. But I think a lot of everybody volunteered, you know, so it's like, I think that's something too, is like just knowing like, oh, you know, this is a good way to keep engagement. You know, it can be, hey, I need a volunteer. You don't even have to tell them what it's for.
Yes.
But you could do it, you know, more often and you could use it intentionally to find people.
Yes.
That was kind of in the field of the class, but if there's, you know, another student who maybe doesn't get up as often, but is still eager to, like you could get them up there, you know, even just planning that out ahead of time.
Yeah, just thinking about like even like thinking about elementary, how they do have like in the elementary classroom like different roles for scholar, like line leader, teacher, like assistant, like, you know, here like they really want to. We could find these roles in our classroom, like find something like, I need you, let's say, to like even at the end of the class collect this text like for the seating arrangement. So give them that role. They want to be like doing something, like they want to feel that they
stand out.
They stand out.
You know, they need some structure and some attention.
Yes.
And I think we can give them that.
In a way for middle school age.
Because I do think a lot of the time we're like, you know, why aren't you doing this? Well, you know, why not? And we get very caught up in discipline where maybe sometimes, you know, some roles or some things like that give people the opportunity to make the right decisions and feels, you know, special or like they're getting attention.
That's why like when we have the advisory class, so this is like we do use the curriculum of is the character strong. So for the middle school, we do have the lessons about the different, you know, topics. It depends on the standard that we cover, but really like asking them, you know, every class we do have a volunteer to lead us through the slides, and they will be like, they will lead the whole activity for the advisory lesson. Like it had like different activities, 4 corners, let's do that, voting for that, doing that. So really like just
it's fun seeing them put their teacher hat on and try to imitate being a teacher, disciplining.
And then they acknowledge like, teacher's job is
hard.
really hard. I'm like, see guys, no, it's really like again very interactive, and again the most important thing is that building that relationship from the beginning of the year with them, and having that structured plan for your lesson that would make it so much easier like on you for later on. Like it's just kind of like you're gonna adapt a few things here and there, but then the structure, the main structure is there.
It's always the same.
Is the same.
And that's where it's even just looking back at all the videos, it's easy to see how, you know, we're doing a lot of the same things, we're doing a lot of the same things. And that's it's intentional, it works, and it gets better. You know, it gets better from both sides. The student, you know, and the teacher, it gets the output, it just gets more efficient.
And again, I know in your reflection also you mentioned the kind of like any ideas for like either after school activity or just kind of like a club. Like again, your ideas, your plans for that. I know we do have these at the school. sometimes the teachers would be assigned, like, let's say twice or once a year to do a club, again for a specific time. And again, yours is like fundraising campaign or club.
Yeah, I felt like it's kind of taking something I had kind of done in the past in a different, a different way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was trying to put into here. And it could be, a way to, bring a lot of different people together, give scholars a leadership, leadership opportunities in the school, but also in the community where they're making some connections outside of the school. And I think it's a good goal and kind of a work in progress. I think right now my priorities are kind of toward, focused on growing as a teacher, finishing my licensure, finding a job. But I felt like this is something I could, I'm glad I worked on it for a class.
Yeah.
And I felt like it's something that could be done in the future. There are fundraisers. As I've gotten more involved with the school, it's like I'm seeing fundraisers and how often they're done and why they're done. And so I wasn't really sure when I started this. So I'm not sure if it's like as necessary as I thought it might have been. But I do think it's something that looks good for students to be a part of. And it could be, students that aren't in MUN and aren't in these other clubs where they're getting some leadership roles to maybe put on their resume or, college applications and things like that. But they can still get leadership experience even if they weren't elected to, some position, and they can do fundraisers. So I think it could give opportunities to some students that might not get them elsewhere.
And again, it's including like so many skills and like they need to work on as well. Like we're talking about here, research piece, and then voting, engagement level, fundraising campaigns, and all of that, brainstorming ideas, how to organize events, and all of that, and maybe having like also kind of other, like we do have the Scholar Council as well. Like they can be involved in that. How like again the whole community could be like just working on this kind of like the club, bringing all. So I really like you got the proposal here.
I think it's a good thing that maybe maybe it'd be something that could be done like next year, or as I get more involved in like some of the after school things, and have a better feel for that. Maybe it should be
for sure. Again, really, really well done, and good luck. Wish you all the best. It's been great. Again, moving and going through this journey. It's great. I mean, again, we're learning together as well. We're really trying to use so many strategies. So we have here also kind of like what we called it right now recently, like the check-in, check-out form with some of our scholars, in terms of also keep on reflecting on their, again, following instructions, using kind words, respectful words, safety rules, arriving class on time. So really just to helping scholars to reflect on that and how their teachers, they see that as well. And then kind of like a reward system. So it's really just something that we also started using that.
This has been, and it is. It's a work in progress for everybody. I think, all the teachers are involved. The student needs to be accountable for, making sure this is done. It's, we're all figuring out exactly how to get this consistent. And, but it's good things, I constantly, it might seem like a little bit of a roller coaster day to day, but I think, it's constantly, we're in this environment where these kids are developing and growing, and they're, making some bad decisions, making some good decisions, constantly getting feedback, and they're surrounded by people they care about.
They care.
I think that's right. Obvious piece, and so it's an awesome place. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. No, seriously, like, and we're always like kind of like we want to develop the strategies that we use. Like if this doesn't work, then we're gonna try something else. How we can make it work. Like it's always kind of that collaboration with, the team members. It's not like only like one teacher that's gonna do that. No, we're just gonna make sure that all the teachers, they have that common language and kind of like strategies and approach. approach, so they see that it's everywhere. It's not only in one class applied.
Yeah.
Well, that's very important.
That's been, as I've gotten to start my new role of like getting into each classroom. It's the structure's apparent, right? You can see it, the do-nows, the warm-ups, and the way the classes are being structured. It carries over, so the students are getting, that kind of reinforcement from class to class. Each one's their own special place for sure, but it's been really wonderful to see the different teachers and the different subjects being taught, and seeing students in slightly different environments, but it's clear we're all a team, and working together to make sure that they're getting the most out of their time in the classroom. It's awesome. I'm really lucky to have the role I'm in for the rest of the year, and I know it'll really help me to continue developing as a teacher. So.
And we appreciate you. Like, we're happy also to have you in the team as well. No, thank you so much.
That was the goal.
Thank you.